Since the dawn of time, sports media has been stuck in a vicious cycle of monotony and Skip Bayless. Then one day, 3 brave souls embarked on a journey to change all of that. Welcome to the Comeback Kid.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, December 4th, and welcome to the Comeback Kid. I am your host, Ben Friedel, and alongside me, as always, Nate Wiggins, Matt Hendrickson. How you guys doing today?
I'm good. Had a pretty exciting weekend. I am absolutely exhausted, but I am absolutely ready for this show today. Can't wait.
Yeah, I think we all had a very productive weekend. We went to Shakespeare's to watch Arsenal Man U, but after that, we got a lot of stuff done for the show. We got a Facebook page now, and we made our own website, so there's a lot to look forward to as far as content goes. What about you, Ben?
I had a great weekend hanging out with you guys. Saturday was very productive. I actually had a job interview this morning at 7 a.m., so I woke up at 5 this morning, so I'm like, I've been up for a long time so far, but I'm feeling good. But Matt, you mentioned it. This past Saturday, we were very productive. We created a Facebook page, so we are now on Facebook and trying to grow and expand as much as we can. So we've posted the link to our Facebook on our Twitter, which is at USD Comebacks. You can find the link to our Facebook page there. And as Matt mentioned, we also have a new website, and that link can either be found on our Facebook or Twitter if you're looking for it. And on this website specifically, we're actually expanding the Comeback Kid to not only just be a podcast that we bring to you weekly every Monday morning, but also to produce written content as well. There's been, you listeners at home have reached out to us and want to get involved with what we do, so we are responding to that. So basically, we're going to have correspondents who are writing opinion-based articles every single week. So these articles we posted to the website, and these will be about topics such as maybe why the Cardinals shouldn't trade for Stanton, or why the college football playoff needs to be restructured. Certain, given topics that are very opinionated, because we like to do that here on the Comeback Kid. Give our strong opinions and distastes as to what we like and don't like in the world of sports. So, yeah, guys, it's really exciting that we've, come this far. We haven't been a show for very long, it seems, but today is a very special day. Matt, can you tell us why today is special in the history of the Comeback Kid?
Today marks our 10th anniversary. So, what is all this 10th anniversary talk? Well, we've been on the air for 10 weeks now, and that is reason to celebrate.
They haven't kicked us off yet, guys. They have not kicked us off.
It's come close. Really hasn't. But, I think all of us would agree on the Comeback Kid that this has just turned into something way more than we could have even imagined when Ben first approached us with this idea back at a Padres game. Nonetheless, but I'm just really happy to be on the ride. I'm sure all of us are, and we're going to keep growing and keep doing what we do.
Great. Thanks, Matt. And so in the spirit of celebration, I would like to know maybe from each of you guys what your favorite moment or most embarrassing moment, just a memorable moment thus far from your time on the show.
I would have to go with Ride the Bus. That is a segment that I've really come to enjoy, mostly because I get to just make a fool out of myself and do great things. Like, what comes to mind is making the Florida Panthers and Kevin Spacey ride the bus, Bailey, the mascot, the OKC charter plane. We made a plane ride the bus. That's it. That's all the memorable ride the buses. There's nothing else.
Well, for me, my favorite part of the show has definitely been the social commentary segments, because, I feel like that's more important than any sports topic that we talk about. And, as someone who this social justice is very important to me, and so to finally have a platform where I could talk about these issues, the fact that we were able to open the very first show talking about Colin Kaepernick it's definitely been my favorite part of the show.
Thanks, Nate. And some of my favorite parts of the show have been places where we've often just been at a loss for words. Nate, one instant comes to mind when you just said Benintendi.
Benintendi.
Yes, that was approximately what it sounded like on our airwaves. And also, not to just be bashing Nate, but he one time who did we bring up, Matt? I think
Bobby Valentine.
The name Bobby Valentine was just uttered, and Nate just lost his collective mind and was just laughing hysterically directly into the microphone. And so that those were great moments, Nate. You've added a lot of character to the show, and I appreciate it.
You know, for all the times that I've made fun of Matt on this show, I think that this I deserve this to be made fun of at least once.
Definitely, yes. So, before we move into our first segment, I think it's important to reaffirm what this show is about. So, right now it is Monday at 9:05 a.m. and we start our show at every Monday 9 a.m. And on these shows, we hope to talk about sports and stories that may not get enough attention on major sports networks. This includes the likes of soccer, baseball, hockey, and any other pertinent sport that may come to mind. We're actually talking some football today because we believe that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world of football that actually is important for you guys to know. So there's that, and then, but most importantly, again, we want to talk about sports and stories that we want to talk about. Let's break the vicious cycle of Skip Bayless, everyone, just as our intro says, right? So that leads us to our first topic today, which we're actually opening the show today with a USD sports update. And usually this segment comes kind of at the end of our show, but this past week has been a very big week for USD sports for on multiple levels. We started this past Thursday, USD basketball took on our crosstown rivals in San Diego State, and the game was held here at USD at the Jenny Craig Pavilion, and it was packed, guys. USD, I think we sold out student tickets relatively quickly, which is very encouraging to hear, especially since school spirit and support for our athletics sometimes falls a little bit short. So USD faithful were out in full support this past Thursday. And yeah, unfortunately, we ended up losing to San Diego State in that game. But Nate, what did you see from San Diego State in this game? What went right for them?
Well, a couple things that went right for San Diego State was, first of all, Malik Pope's length was just too much for USD. There was a question as to whether or not Malik Pope was going to play, and I said that if Malik Pope didn't play, then there was no doubt in my mind USD was going to win. Well, Malik Pope played, and even though he didn't contribute a ton on the offensive end, I think he had 6 blocks, and his length was just way too much for us. I really think Malik Pope is an NBA talent as long as he can stay healthy. Another problem for USD was they had no answer for Devin Watson, who was a guard for San Diego State, transferred from the University of San Francisco to San Diego State, had to sit out a year because of transfer rules, but this is his first year with the Aztecs. He's from Oceanside, I believe, and yeah, I think he had 20 points, and USD just could not stop him. I felt like the big matchup was going to be our guards versus their guards, Olin Carter and Isaiah Wright versus Jeremy Hemsley and Devin Watson, and we just had no answer. Their guards completely outplayed our guards. So the final score was 57-66. But I mean, yeah, it was that close. But we picked the worst time to have our absolute worst game of the season.
Yeah, you mentioned that a lot of things sort of went wrong for USD, even though the score was pretty close. So that even suggests that this is a game we should have won. And so can you enlighten our listeners as to maybe some of the other reasons why USD was unsuccessful this past Thursday?
Well, for starters, we couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. I believe in the first half we shot, at one point we were shooting 17% from the field and 13% from three-point range. And so, you can't win, especially for a team that likes to shoot threes like we do. You cannot win games if you're going to shoot below 20% from the field. Like you cannot, especially against a team like San Diego State, who is very good offensively. Another thing that went wrong is just turnovers. Turn the ball over way too much. And again, you cannot win games if you're going to be turning the ball over that much. Had really no answer for San Diego State's press. That being said, USC did do a few things right in this game. Defensively, absolutely tremendous. And, I mean, that's kind of been their whole thing all season is defensively. They've been so much better than they were last year. If you told me going into this game that we were only going to give up 66 points, I said, oh, that's definitely a win because of how well we had played offensively up until that point. I believe we were averaging somewhere upwards of 70, 75 points a game. So if you told me going into this game, okay, well, USC's only going to give up 66 points, I say, oh, that's definitely a win. But the problem is, yeah, you can only give up 66 points, but if you can't score, which last time I checked, scoring points is pretty important in basketball.
Okay, Joe Buck.
It's the second week in a row you've made that exact same joke. If you can't score points, you're not gonna win a game. So obviously we played very well defensively, but I mean, just got to improve on the offensive end. And it was kind of the same thing that happened Saturday night when the team went to go play UCSB. Again, great defensively, but just couldn't score. Lost by 10 points and missed 14 free throws. So that's definitely something that they're going to have to improve on the rest of the year, is that you're going to have to make free throws if you want to win games, especially because teams like SDSU and UCSB are pretty much equivalent to like USF and Santa Clara, teams that we're going to have to beat in conference if we want to be in sort of in that top four. So definitely some good things, but certainly some things we got to improve on.
Yeah, you mentioned that there's going to be some teams coming up here that we're really going to need to, buckle down and put better performances in, because we're not out of the woods yet. San Diego State's a good team, but there's a lot of teams within our own conference that are very good as well. So, can either of you guys give me maybe some positives to take away from this game that can, encourage our team and USD students and alumni and just USD fans in general to what they can look forward to for the rest of the season?
Yeah, so like Nate mentioned earlier, we only gave up 66 points, which in most cases would be good enough for the win. And we're in a very reminiscent state right now on the Comeback Kid. So I'm going to say, if you were to tell me that we were only going to give up 66 points in this game and that we were going to lose, I would have slapped you. And I think that just says enough.
Nate is just in disbelief right now.
You know what? I'm paying homage to what this show used to be. Anyways, one thing that Nate also touched on is that we were really good in front of our own basket. Defensive rebounds, we had a boatload of them. And it seemed like even coming off of those turnovers, we were able to respond, did not allow a lot of fast break scores. So I think that was something really positive. And then I say also great ball movement. We had a lot of assists. I think we had like 16 assists compared to their 5, which I guess is what happens when you try to shoot from outside more. You're moving the ball around and you shoot. But it's good to know that maybe that means it's a good sign of us gelling as a unit, especially since probably 2 of our most prominent players are transfers. To see them kind of buy into the system and work together, I think is great. I got to say that we're also very lucky to have this game early in the season. I think Lamont Smith is a very smart coach, and he'll be able to use this game as a kind of a springboard to push ourselves into the conference play on a high note.
Very well said. So I think that brings me to another question, which is overall expectations. College basketball is a sport driven by dreams of making it to the big show, the tournament. And so my question is, what is USD national tournament bound? Because we started the season 7-0, 6-0?
5-0.
5-0. Okay, we started the season 5-0, tied for the best start in program history. And we have made the tournament before. Back in 2008, I believe, we made the tournament after beating Gonzaga in the conference championship. So is this another year where USD is a shot of making the national tournament?
As much as I would love to say yes, I don't think so. I think that this team can contend for an NIT berth, which honestly would be absolutely tremendous, considering that 2 years ago this program won 9 games and last year won 13 games. So I think that they can contend for an NIT, which would be honestly a huge step in the right direction, and then next year make that step towards contending for the NCAA tournament. But I still think we're definitely treading upward, but we're not there yet.
Yeah. Brutally honest, Nate. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in the wave of one of our sports teams doing significantly well, but it's sometimes good to check our expectations somewhat. So, a team that is in their actual national tournament is volleyball. So basketball isn't the only USD sport to have a big game this past week. Matt, can you enlighten our listeners regarding what has happened with volleyball over the past week?
Yeah, so volleyball made it to the NCAA tournament, which is on the road to Kansas City, where the Final Four takes place. They opened it up Friday with a 3-1 win versus LSU up at USC. But Saturday, they unfortunately did not follow that up with another win. It was a heartbreaking 5-set loss. But shout out to our inaugural rider, Nigel Ward, for driving up to LA to support the program. He and one of our other friends made it to support us there. It seemed like a great atmosphere, but it just wasn't the results that we wanted. But that stage of the tournament is basically the volleyball equivalent of the Sweet 16. And this is the closest the USD has gotten to the championship in recent memory. And yeah, I think it was just a great season for them in general.
Yeah, so you mentioned, what a ride for the USD women here. They had another great season. They, I believe, finished going into the tournament were the 9th ranked team in the nation. So, they were a force to reckon with, and unfortunately, it happens. These 5-set losses. It could have gone either way. However, we just came out on the wrong end of it. So, looking back, what has been some of the most memorable moments from this past volleyball season?
I would have to go with our win versus BYU at BYU. We won 3-1, and I think that's impressive enough because BYU just does not lose at home, but we proved otherwise. But yeah, they had a 17-1 record in the WCC, which was good enough to be co-champions with, you guessed it, BYU. And that just shows how dominant we are out in the West in volleyball. But amidst that 17-1 record, there was almost a month span where USD didn't even lose a set. I saw when I looked back at their schedule, there were a lot of 3-0s on there, and I thought that just shows how great of a program that we have, and I don't have any reason to think that it'll change in the recent future or in the near future. So, yeah.
Recent future.
Future.
Very insightful, Matt.
Yes.
Speaking of dominance, USD football, we are a Division 1A non-scholarship program, and we have dominated conference play on every single level. What is it, over the past 2 years, 3 years? Like, we have
honestly over the past 10 years.
10 years. We've lost a handful of conference games over a 10-year span, and football, like volleyball, were in the midst of their playoff run, and unfortunately their playoff push ended against North Dakota State University this past Saturday. Nate, can you tell us more about USD football?
Yeah, so USD football's playoff run, like you said, came to an end this Saturday in Fargo, North Dakota, with a 38-3 loss at North Dakota State. But just for a little context, I mean, North Dakota State is pretty much the equivalent of an FBS program. Over the last couple years, they've beaten teams like Iowa and one more team that is escaping my mind. But it's where Carson Wentz, Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz, who's could be the MVP of the NFL this year, he actually played his college football. So it's not like we lost to the Braille Institute here, guys. There's really nothing to be ashamed of. Back-to-back years making it to the second round of the playoff. And in both years, we beat, as a non-scholarship program, we beat a scholarship program in the first round of the playoffs on the road. Last year, Cal Poly. This year, Northern Arizona. They're the first team in Pioneer Football League history to go undefeated in conference play back-to-back seasons. So, I mean, when you talk about dominance, I mean, it's just been absolutely dominant. Like I said, over the last decade, but particularly over these last couple years. I mean, if you want to talk about the last decade, for those of you that don't know, this is actually where Jim Harbaugh started his coaching career, coaching at the University of San Diego. So, I mean, we've had some great teams over these last 10 years.
Yeah, a lot of success over the last 10 years and a lot of just steamroll type victories USD has had. So it begs the question that since we're beating scholarship programs in the playoffs with non-scholarship athletes, which I think is just a testament to the work ethic and mentality of our football program here, do you envision at any point that we are going to become a full scholarship Division I program?
I don't see that happening in the near future. Just because I think that what this program is, I think it's happy just being kind of where it is and just how dominant it is in its own league and in its own conference. And I think that one of the things that makes us different from a scholarship program is that players come here and like they're coming here like to go to school here and also play football. They're not coming to play football and also go to school. Like the football players on our team, like they're truly student athletes. So like they're students first and then they also play football. Not, oh, I'm a football player who also happens to just take some classes just for the sake of taking classes. So no, I don't see it happening in the near future, and I think it's good that it's not going to be happening here in the near future.
Very well said, Nate. So congratulations to both football and volleyball for their successful seasons. It's going to be an exciting place to build off of in the near future. Hopefully we can advance further in both playoff formats in the upcoming years. So yeah, great stuff, guys. Great stuff, USD. So when we come back, we keep talking football for the first time, I think, ever on the Comeback Kid. We talk about the college football playoff. A lot of bowl games are coming up. A lot of bowl games have been, the teams playing each other have been decided. We'll let you know who's playing who and who got snubbed, potentially, from the Final Four teams in the national playoff. We will give you all of that when we come back. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back. Check us out at USD Comeback on Twitter and Facebook, or search The Comeback Kid and give us a listen on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/ComebackKidUSD. And for those of you listening on Facebook, Twitter, or SoundCloud, we broadcast live every single week at 9 a.m. on the USD radio station, which can be found on the TuneIn Radio app. TuneIn is available on both Apple and Android app stores. Once you download it, just search USD Radio, favorite that page, and you'll have access to USD Radio wherever you go. Thank you all for listening. We will see you next week.